Luigi's Mansion has always been one of those games that stuck with me. Like, I still remember bringing the game to school, specifically those reading circle segments. While everyone else brought books, I freaking took out the instruction booklet to read the blurb, acting like the lore was equivalent to a bajillion Harry Potter novels. And while it was nice to aura farm in front of my classmates, little did they know the truth. You see, despite me glazing over the game, I actually never beat it back then. I was too scared to even get past the first few rooms. But years later though, I finally mustered the courage to beat it. And that's when it all clicked. I realized how well Luigi's Mansion actually nailed everything it was going for. The portrait ghosts especially are a huge reason why. Each one brought a unique personality that made the mansion feel alive, or I guess in this case, undead. And now that Luigi's Mansion is finally on Gamecube NSO, I think it's the perfect time to go back and rank every single portrait ghost, from the ones that barely haunted me to the ones that completely define the game's creepy charm. So if you love Luigi's Mansion or just Nintendo nostalgia in general, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment your favorite ghosts down below. Number 23, Neville. Neville's a good example of an early game tutorial ghost, a harmless bookworm who's wrapped up in reading that he could literally forget that he's dead. He's so absorbed in his studies that he doesn't notice much here other than like Luigi barging in and thinking he can't see him. All you do here is wait for him to yawn and boom, you already did all the work. He's not bad per se, he's just there to teach you how portrait ghosts work. Number 22, Uncle Grimly. Uncle Grimly is described as a hermit who prefers to be alone, which sounds like a setup for a creepy late game encounter, but unfortunately all he does is hang out in the wardrobe room. You wait for him to try to spook you and boom, he becomes vulnerable. He low-key has a pretty creepy design and his lore is kinda interesting in concept, but the gameplay doesn't do much with it. Like bruh, you're telling me I had to go all the way back here during the blackout just for this? Number 21, Lydia. Lydia is pretty much the mirror-obsessed mother of the mansion, forever staring at her reflection and worrying about her hair. She spends a lot of her time in the afterlife just looking at herself, which tells you everything you need to know. You open the curtains, a gust of wind hits, and she gets startled. And pretty much it's so easy from here. She works thematically as part of the ghost family, but as a fight or character, she's pretty forgettable. I do have some questions though. What do you mean she has her own secret savings? Number 20, the Floating Rolindas. The dancing couple who were once waltz champions. Unfortunately, they can't compete anymore due to not having any feet to touch the ground, but regardless of their situation, they float in circles around the ballroom like they're still attending some never-ending ghost prom. All you do here is interrupt their rhythm, flash their heart, and vacuum. It's super simple, and the atmosphere is doing the heavy lifting here. The chandelier, music, ballroom lighting, it's a great moment, but not as much as a ghost fight. Number 19, Shivers. Shivers is a nervous butler who still wanders the halls carrying a candle for the mansion's master. Once you light up his candle on fire though, you just follow him to his room and wait for him to sit down. The build-up is honestly great. I mean, the eerie vibes you get from him walking inside the creepy hallway and the screams he lets out with this unsettling running animation make the experience spooky, but the fight is instantly over once you reach that room. So decent with the showing of personality at first, but the gameplay is almost non-existent once you complete that simple puzzle. Also, he's kinda weird for having the hots for Melody, who is literally much younger than him, like Brug. Number 18, Chauncey. The Area 1 ghost baby boss. He's easily one of the most iconic early fights in the game. That is, in terms of presentation. Other than this unsettling atmosphere that this boss brings, I find him to be a little boring. Like this boss isn't as crazy as I liked it to be. It's just a waiting game to hit him with the bouncy balls. Also, his bio says that he's just born a ghost. And while I can be up to speculation as to why that is, I feel like it causes more confusion than any good theory. I still think Chauncey is an okay introduction to Luigi's Mansion style, but I really wish he was more memorable in terms of gameplay and lore. Number 17, Nana. Nana's the scarf knitting lady who seems to be the type that would be the life of the party inside of a retirement home. Her lore mentions she spends a lot of her time knitting a scarf that is now stretched to 171 feet, but this sounds innocent and all until she starts rapid firing yarn balls, which can be literally annoying to deal with. They're not crazy fast, but if you've played this game, you understand how frustrating it can be to deal with. Once you get the hang of it though, you just knock them back at her and stun her and well, that's it. She's not that special to be honest. I do find her personality carrying her rank, as she did pull a funny prank on Miss Petunia by dropping ice on her in the bathtub. Number 16, Miss Petunia. Right after Nana is Miss Petunia herself. She was presented as a bath-obsessed ghost who's just vibing in her personal spa session. Apparently, she was the Miss Ghost runner-up 6 years before the setting of Luigi's Mansion, which honestly makes me wonder how she even did that. While she also isn't particularly special when it comes to the fight, I think her backstory is ironically funny and diabolical. I mean, the game even teases you to think there's a hot babe behind the curtain, but nope. They literally did her dirty, making her look like a pig. I actually kind of feel bad for her though, because the silhouette makes you think something might have happened to her over time. Number 15, Sue P. Sue P is probably the creepiest ghost in Luigi's Mansion 1. While she's pretty harmless and an optional ghost, Nintendo went ham on explaining her lore. Apparently, she game over during her sleep. Like, bruh, that is insane. Not to mention, why do you gotta make her room upside down like that and make her even more possessed than she actually is? Anyway, after soaking all that in, you literally just, well, soak her bed and call it a day. She's really not much of a threat, but damn dude, I'm still shook reading about her bio till this day. Number 14, Spooky. Spooky was most likely the mansion's guard dog and still loyal even after its death, which is really sad when you think about it. Spooky's only 4 years old, so you can't help but wonder what happened to him. Like, did his owner pass away, which made him starve to death? Anyway, the biggest thing is you just lure him towards a bone after dodging his attacks and vacuuming up Mr. Bones. It's a short encounter, but the sound design, like the barking, breathing, the graveyard chills, makes this a bigger standout. Number 13, Biff Atlas. Biff Atlas is basically the gym bro, or I guess the Duke Nukem of Luigi's Mansion. And let me just say, I absolutely love this dude. Like, if I was ranking the portrait ghosts based off of vibes and like who would be my favorite overall, he would definitely be just that. He's like a giant teddy bear that's super strong but a kind person at heart. It just really sucks how he's a very easy ghost to defeat. Due to his kind nature, he poses zero threat. All he cares about is just working out. And for this fight, you just slam punching bags into him until he gets dizzy, and well, it's GG's. Despite how goofy this all looks, he's not that deep, it's just pure fun. Number 12, Slim Bankshot. Slim is the lonely pool shark who just plays and does trick shots all by himself. His entire room revolves around his trusty pool table and some other accessories that closely mimics a chill basement. I like how the quiet atmosphere makes him feel like a ghost who just wants some company but literally can't cause, well, he's a loner. While he's a standout with his background alone, when it comes to the fight, it's just a big waiting game. You wait for him to shoot the balls and you gotta hit him 3 times. It also really sucks when you miss cause apparently bro gotta do his rounds to just split him up again. So while not hard, Slim definitely gets some stylish points. Number 11, Mr. Lugs. Mr. Lugs is the mansion's version of Nico Avocado, a ghost who unfortunately ate himself to death. Memes aside though, honestly his entire room is peak haunted comedy. The dim lighting, the twirling ghost servants, and the perceived giant feast that almost never ends. You'll light up the candles, defeat the waiters, suck up his 15th meal of the day, and boom, he starts spitting flames. It's messy, kinda gross, but unforgettable. It just falls short with the experience though, because while this looks enticing on paper, it's very easy to avoid his attacks and also becomes a waiting game just like the Slim fight. So yeah, not the craziest, but definitely one of the most thematically cool ghosts in the game. Number 10, Madame Clairvoyant. Clairvoyant is the only portrait ghost who actually wants to be captured. She's the mansion's psychic medium, and her role is mostly narrative instead of combative. She reads Mario's items, reveals lores, and accepts her fate when she's done guiding you. No wild gimmicks, no stress, just a calm farewell. Despite me giving the gameplay a low score, everything else is relatively high. It feels like you were in a journey with Madame Clairvoyant for a good chunk of the game. Her dialogue was very entertaining and was one of those ghosts who just wanted to have a purpose by fulfilling her duties. And honestly, I gotta give her respect for that. Number 9, Melody Pianissima. Melody is the mansion's musical prodigy, a ghost composer who tests Luigi by playing iconic Mario tracks and quizzing him on which one he heard. It's a fun part of the game where you interact with instruments and hear popular themes from past titles. The flying sheep music attack that follows is one of the coolest stylistic touches in the entire game. The character is also elegant, smug, and perfectly themed. So overall, she's a great ghost, just not top tier when it comes to gameplay. However, I'll give her bonus points for being a gamer. Number 8, Clockwork Soldiers. Despite my gameplay where I accidentally cheesed them here, the Clockwork Soldiers feel like the first true holy shit moment when it comes to the regular ghost fights. Like the game decides to crank it up in difficulty by not adding 1, not 2, but 3 ghosts. And apparently, they were not even humans to begin with. They belonged to a toy collector that was brought to life through a mystery power. It sounds spooky, but nonetheless, I really like how each of them act independently, and also like how you have to deal with them all at once. And if you combine their HP all together, this fight totals up to 300 HP. Overall, I can probably say that this is definitely one of the harder ghost fights to get a gold frame while still being creative and unique. Number 7, Sir Weston. Sir Weston is an interesting fella as his room is literally Alaska. He's dressed like an ice climber frozen in ice, trying to act like he's the Avatar or something. But yeah, he gets mad at you for melting him. Like, the fuck? I literally saved you from hypothermia. While this fight can be annoying, I think it's one of the better portrait encounters in the game. The floor is slippery, there's ice shards trying to kill you, and the whole atmosphere is just overall crazy. One can argue that this is actually one of the most mechanically advanced fights in the game, and it's unique and good with that alone. Also, doing this after getting the key never gets old. Sir Weston is pretty solid, but not the most humanistic. Number 6, Jarvis. Jarvis is a ghost who loves jars so much that he literally decides to live inside one. Kind of a weird choice, but I'm not here to judge. I really like how unique his minigame challenge is, as it's very different to the rest of the game. It's basically a carnival game similar to Whack-A-Mole. You hit him with the ice element wherever he pops out of, and you gotta do it 7 times in order to win. It's super silly and kind of fast if you're good at it, but it's pretty memorable. He's also one of the few ghosts that actually threatens Luigi, where he literally wants to put him inside of a jar. Like, if that ain't whack, I don't know what is. Number 5, Boolossus. Boolossus is the true moment where the game says, okay, it's time to step it up even more. He's a giant boo formed from multiple small boos fused together, and you fight him on a moonlit balcony. You defeat him by constantly popping him with one of the unicorn statues and sucking up the smaller boos as they scatter. But you can't just do that normally. You have to freeze the boos first. It's super tense, chaotic, and it feels like the first real boss that truly fights back. I also am a big fan of the build-up that it brings. The cutscenes are cinematic, and I love how Nintendo gave the boos even more personality, taunting Luigi saying he's a scaredy cat. Boolossus is an absolute staple of the game, and even though this boss is stupid hard towards the end, it's extremely rewarding once you get that last boo. Number 4, Henry and Orville. The ghost twins are peak when it comes to Luigi's Mansion creativity. They're playful, creepy, and their room turns into a toy box battlefield when the fight begins. Before all of that though, I love how you have to play a game of hide and seek. While it's simple once you learn the cheat, the experience is great as the game tries to make you perceive them as friendly and innocent. But that totally changes once they get mad at you. The fight is insane with one of them piloting a plane and the other driving a car. This is a nice touch as their names are a play on Henry Ford and Orville Wright, famous entrepreneurs on their respective modes of transportation. In the end, the twins are solid portrait ghosts, playful, personality-driven, tricky, and a cool and challenging experience especially for new players. Number 3, King Boo and Bowser. King Boo is the final mastermind. There's a constant build-up we get of him throughout the game, from Luigi discovering the headquarters, to Madame Clairvoyant using spirits to learn about him, and to the final encounter revealing his true plans. It's truly all cinema. He's also the one who created the Haunted Mansion that lured the bros in and uses illusions to hide behind the fake Bowser suit during the fight. This fight is such a great payoff for everything that the game built up. You dodge fire, run from explosions, use spikes to tear that Bowser head off, and then finally rip King Boo out of his crown. It's dramatic, intense, and such a big scale of an event. Despite all of this though, I did think the fight was underwhelming in some areas. Like, I feel like this should have been the hardest fight by a long shot, but it's not. Part of it can be glitchy, and the concept feels very similar in some ways to the Chauncey fight, almost like it was a much more demanding version of it. So yeah, while it's good, it's just good at bronze medal. Number 2, Bogmire. Bogmire is literally described as a product from the mansion's fear and despair, and that alone makes him one of the most symbolic fights in the game. You battle him in a graveyard surrounded by shadows, using hints like reflections and illusions to attract the real one. It's unsettling, atmospheric, and feels like the game's emotional midpoint, like the mansion fighting back and wanting to scare you off. I also think it's one of the coolest boss concepts Nintendo has ever made, period. However, there's one area that always bothered me. Like, despite it being somewhat of a difficult fight once he starts spawning more illusions of himself, the arena you fight on feels like such a wasted space. Instead of spawning more shadows, I feel like it could have been more grand and diverse, more reasons to take certain routes, heck, maybe actually have even less shadows for Luigi to work with. But yeah, the overall vibes, atmosphere, and consistencies alone make him the second best in the entire game, and frankly, the best boss fight overall. And finally, at number 1, we have Vincent Van Gogh. Vincent Van Gogh is my pick for the best portrait boss ghost in Luigi's Mansion, and it's not because he's a strong ghost. As a matter of fact, he doesn't really fight back once you get to him. I just love how King Boo isn't the sole creator of everything in the mansion. It's really cool that Vincent is the creator of every regular ghost that you fight along the way. His paintings literally bring ghosts to life, and by the time you reach him, it feels like a finale as all the other portrait ghosts have already been captured. And as the last one left, it feels very sentimental as he throws wave after wave of his own creations at you. The ones you've seen the whole time, the ones that pissed you off, or the ones that scared you to death. It's like the entire game coming full circle. He's the artist behind lots of chaos and the final architect before your ultimate battle with King Boo. Plus, I think it's hilarious that his name is a parody to Vincent Van Gogh in the English version. It's like a nice change of pace to laugh every once in a while and not be freaked out from every scary stuff that most portrait ghosts exhibit. And they push this concept even further with other localizations with parodies of Pablo Picasso and even Leonardo da Vinci. In the American version though, his French dialogue's hilarious and creative, and ultimately, we learned that all he wanted to do was keep making ghosts, do art, and live happily. So yeah, he's just not a portrait ghost, he's a big soul of the mansion, and the fight with him feels like closing the book before the big epilogue. And there you have it. Luigi's Mansion may be a short game, but there's nothing else like it. Every ghost has a story, every room has personality, and replaying it today still feels like revisiting a cool, albeit haunted time capsule. If you enjoyed the ranking, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and tell me which ghost freaked you out the most. Or not.